You should have, you know. As they say, it all goes by in a blink. It didn't make sense to me at first. You're such a busy little big shot. But then I figured it out. Movies are what you do. You must see them all the time. But you also have a family waiting for you every night. You're supposed to be home for dinner with little Lynn and Laurie. How old are they now? 12 and 13? They want you there, and you want to be there. That's good, I suppose. Except that tonight, dinner is going to come and go without you. Kind of sad when you think about it, which is what I'm doing right now. Anyway, you sat in the balcony in the 9th row. I sat in the 12th. I waited and watched the back of your head, your brunette from a bottle hair. That's where the bullet was going. Or so I fantasized. Isn't that what one is supposed to do at the movies? Escape? Get away from it all? Except that most movies are so dismal these days. Dismally dumb or dismally dreary. I didn't actually pull out my gun until after the film started. I didn't like how scared I felt. That was how scared you were supposed to be, big shot. But you didn't know what was happening. Not even that I was there. You were out of the loop. I sat like that, holding the gun in my lap, pointing it at you for the longest time. Then I decided I wanted to be closer, right on top of you. I needed to look in your eyes after you knew you'd been shot, knew that you would never see Lynn and Laurie again, never see another movie either, never greenlight one, never again be a big shot. But then seeing you wide-eyed and dead was a surprise. A shock to my nervous system, actually. What happened to that famed aristocratic bearing of yours? That's why I had to leave the theater so quickly. And why I had to leave you undone. Not that you really care anymore. How's the weather where you are now, Patsy? Hot, I hope. Hot as Hades. Isn't that an expression? Do you miss your children terribly? Have some regrets? I'll bet you do. I would if I were you. But I'm no big shot. Just one of the little people.
Chapter 18. 9 o'clock, and all was not well, to put it mildly. LAPD Detective Jean Galletta's handshake was surprisingly soft. She looked as though she could give out bone crushers if she wanted to. Her orange short-sleeved turtleneck showed off her biceps. She was slim, though, with a strikingly angular face and the kind of piercing brown eyes that could make you stare. I caught myself mid-stare and glanced away. "Agent Cross, have I kept you waiting?" she asked. "Not very long," I told her. I'd been in Galletta's position before. When you're a lead investigator on a high-profile case, everyone wants a piece of your time. Besides, my day was almost over. Detective Galletta would probably be up all night. This case warranted it. The mess had landed in her lap about 12 hours ago. It had originated at the West Bureau in Hollywood, but serial cases were automatically transferred downtown to the Special Homicide Unit. Technically, Mary Smith couldn't be classified as a serial killer until there were at least 4 attributed murders, but LAPD had decided to err on the side of caution. I agreed with the decision, not that anyone had asked me for an opinion. The media coverage on this one and the subsequent pressure on the department was already intense. It could go from intense to insane soon if the emails to the Times got out. Detective Galletta led me upstairs to a small conference room turned crisis room. It acted as a makeshift clearinghouse for all information related to the murders. One entire wall was already covered with police reports, a map of the city, sketches of the 2 crime scenes, and dozens of photographs of the dead. A wastebasket in the corner overflowed with empty cups and greasy restaurant takeout bags. Wendy's seemed to be winning the battle of the burgers at this precinct. 2 detectives in shirt sleeves sat at a large wooden table both of them bent over separate piles of paperwork. Familiar. Depressing. "We need this space," Galetta said to the detectives. There was nothing overly aggressive about it. She had the kind of unassuming confidence that made bullying unnecessary. The two men cleared out without a word. "Where do you want to start?" I asked her. Galetta jumped right in. "What do you make of the sticker thing?" She pointed to an 8.5 by 11 black and white photo of the back of a movie seat. It had the same brand of kitty stickers on it as the ones left on Antonia Schiffman's limo. Each sticker was marked either A or B. One of the stickers showed a wide-eyed pony, the other two a teddy bear on a swing. What was with the killer and children? And mothers? "It feels awfully heavy-handed to me," I told her. "Just like everything else so far. The overwrought emails, the shootings at close range, the knife work. Hell, the celebrities. Whoever's doing this wants to go big, very high profile." "Yeah, definitely. But what about the kitty stickers themselves? I mean, why stickers? Why that kind? What's with the A's and B's? Must mean something." "She's mentioned the victim's kids both times, in the emails. Kids are a part of this puzzle, a piece. To be honest, I've never come across anything even remotely like it." Galetta bit her lip and looked at the floor. I waited to see what she would say next. "We've got two threads here. It's all film industry, Hollywood, at least so far. But there's the mother thing, the kids. Never mentions the husbands in either email." She spoke slowly, mulling it over, the way I often did. "She's either a mother herself, or has a thing for mothers. Mommies." "You're assuming Mary Smith is a woman?" I asked. Chapter 19. Detective Galetta rocked back on the heels of her Nikes, and then she looked at me quizzically. "You don't know about the hair? Who's been briefing you anyway?" I felt a pang of frustration about my own time being wasted again. I sighed, then asked Galetta, "What hair?" She went on to tell me LAPD had found a human hair under one of the stickers at the movie theater in Westwood. Testing indicated it was Caucasian female, and it was not Patrice Bennett's. The fact that it was trapped on a smooth vertical surface under the sticker gave it some pretty good weight as evidence, though certainly not ironclad. I juggled this new information with what I already knew as I gave Galetta my own take on Mary Smith. It included my gut feeling that we shouldn't rule out either sex just yet. But you should take everything I tell you with a grain of salt. I'm not an all-science kind of guy. She smirked, though the effect was pleasant enough. "I'll take that into account, Agent Cross. Now what else?" "Do you have a media plan?" I wanted to emphasize it as her plan, completely her show, which it was, of course. This was going to be my first and last day on the Mary Smith case. If I played it right, I wouldn't even have to say that out loud. I would just walk away. "Here's my media plan." Jean Galetta reached up and flipped on a wall-mounted television. She punched through several channels, stopping wherever there was coverage of the two murders. The shocking double murder of actress Antonia Schiffman and her driver. We're taking you live now to Beverly Hills. Patrice Bennett's former assistant on the line. Many of them were national broadcasts, everything from CNN to E! Entertainment Television. Galetta pushed a button that muted the sound. This is the kind of crap that some reporters live for. I've got a 24-hour detail on both crime scenes just to keep these assholes away, plus the damn paparazzi. It's totally out of control, and it's going to get much worse. You've been through it. You have any suggestions? Did I ever? We had all learned a few painful lessons about the double-edged sword of media coverage with the D.C. sniper case a few years back. Here's my take on it, for what it's worth, and I hope it's something. Don't try to control the coverage because you never will, I told her. The only thing you can control is what crime scene information gets out there. Put a gag order on everyone connected to the case. No interviews without specific permission from the department. And, this might sound a little crazy, but get a couple of people onto a phone detail. Call every retired officer you can find. Tell them not to make any comments to the press, nothing at all. Retired cops can be one of your biggest problems. Some of them just love making up theories for the camera. She gave me another sly smile. Not that you have an opinion about all this or anything. I shrugged. Believe me, most of it was learned the hard way. While I spoke, Detective Galetta paced slowly in front of the big wall board, absorbing the evidence. That's the way to do it. Let the details gather in the corners of your mind, where they'll be when you need them. I could already tell that she had good instincts. Healthy cynicism, for sure, but she was also a listener. It was easy to see how she'd come into her position so young. Now, could she survive this? I said, just one more thought. Mary Smith is probably going to be watching what you do. My suggestion is, don't disparage her or her work publicly, at least not yet. She's already playing it as a media game, right? Yeah, that's true. I think so. Detective Galetta stopped and looked up at the silent TV images. She's probably eating this all up with a spoon. My thought, too. And this monster needed to be fed very, very carefully. This lady monster? Chapter 20. It was just after midnight when I finally got back to the hotel at Disney and received some more bad news. It wasn't just that Jamila had flown back to San Francisco. I already knew that much and figured I was in the doghouse again with Jam. When I entered the hotel room, I saw that Nana Mama was fast asleep on the sofa. A cluster of pale blue crocheting was still wrapped around her fingers. She slept peacefully, like a child. I didn't want to disturb the poor girl, but she came awake on her own. It had always been that way with Nana. When I was little, all I had to do was stand next to her bed if I was sick or had a nightmare. She always said that she watched over me, even while she was sleeping. Had she been watching over me tonight? I stared at the old woman for a quiet moment. I don't know how most people feel about their grandparents, but I loved her so much it hurt sometimes. Nana raised me from the age of 10. I finally leaned down and kissed her on the cheek. "Did you get my voicemail?" I asked. Nana glanced absently at the hotel phone with its flashing red message light. "I guess not," I said with a shrug. She put a hand on my forearm. "Oh, Alex. Christine was here at the hotel. She came and she took little Alex back to Seattle. He's gone." My brain had a quick, does-not-compute moment. Christine wasn't due to pick Alex up for another 2 days. She currently had custody of our son, but the trip to Disneyland had been talked out and agreed to. She even said it was a good idea. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch. "I don't understand. What do you mean she took Alex home? What's going on? Tell me everything." Nana shoved her crocheting into a tapestry bag at her side. "I was so mad I could have spit. She didn't seem like herself at all. She was shouting, Alex. She shouted at me, even at Janelle. What was she doing here anyway? She wasn't supposed to. She came down early. That's the worst part. Alex, I think she was coming to spend some quality time with you and little Alex. With all of us. And then when she found out you were working, she completely changed. Turned into an angry hornet, just like that. There was nothing I could say to her. I never saw anyone so angry, so changed." It was all coming too fast.